What's going on, you wild don't bother fans? Your favorite hockey coaches are back, and I'm not talking about Gordon Bombay and Alex. I'm talking about my man over there. His name is Uncle Logan Myerz. How you doing, sport?
Howdy! Hit the
Howdy
showers!
there.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Welcome
Clear
back.
eyes, full hearts, wrong set. We're talking about the
Oh.
Mighty Ducks Game Changers tonight. We have episode 7. We've been covering this series since it started. Me and my mate here, Logan. Henry Hill. As always, you already know me. I don't know why I always introduce myself. You guys know us already, so maybe moving forward we don't have to introduce ourselves every time. But anyways, we are talking about the Mighty Ducks Game Changers series on Disney Plus, and we've been having a great time with this. It's really lighthearted, not serious like most of the shows and movies we watch. It's always usually some heavy material with a lot of violence and stuff. So this one's like a breath of fresh air, really. It's like a more like a nostalgic kind of show that you'd watch when you're a kid without all the cursing and violence that we're usually exposed to. So this one's been fun to follow. And in these past couple episodes, we've been getting that feel of the original Ducks movies, I feel like. And this one, episode 7, is titled Pond Hockey, and it has a lot of ties to the original film. So in this episode, we are dealing with the fallout from what happened in the last episode, where the rest of the Don't Bothers find out that Evan went on this practice with the Ducks after Coach T, talked to him and told him to come out, that he was impressed with his last game and that he feels like he made a mistake by cutting him. He wants him to come out and practice with the Ducks. And ultimately somebody ends up recording it and putting it online. And Sophie from the Don't Bothers finds this out, and she sees it on her phone, on her feed, and she shows the rest of the team after they practice. And they all know that Evan is basically a traitor. He's went to the Ducks and practiced with them. So everybody's super pissed at Evan. So it starts out just like that in this episode. It's the next day after the fallout from that game, after everybody finding that out about Evan, and they have a practice. The Don't Bothers have a practice. Everybody shows up and everybody's pissed at Evan. He senses it. He knows he really messed up, and everybody's bickering. It's leading to more infighting between the team. Everybody is sort of fighting and having their individual battles too, but the main focus is on Evan, of course, with him going to this other team that he came from, that's the enemy, and basically these, his teammates feel like he kind of betrayed them. So Alex, who we know is now the coach of the Don't Bothers, calls for a team meeting, and she has them all go into the locker room and basically does the old coaching trick where they're going to go in there and fight, and they're not going to be able to come out of the room until they settle things out. So she puts like a chair up against the door so they can't get out. And she says, argue it out until you guys are ready to come together again and be a team.
Yeah, pretty much. And Evan is there just basically apologizing the entire episode to his teammates. He really gave up on them, and he was thinking about himself. He was selfish. He was thinking about his future and not the team that he built. He got all these kids to join the team and just kind of gave up on them. So he, essentially apologized. They sort of duke it out in the locker room. They're basically trying to fight out their differences, and they end up going back to the old pond from the original movie where Gordon Bombay learned to skate. The young flashbacks of him as a kid learning to play hockey. That's the pond they return to figure out how to be a team again. Nothing out there but nature and ice. So they went through a bunch of different hockey training and, had a good time and learned a lot of valuable lessons out in this pond. So it was really great episode, very nostalgic, and it hit on all the feels.
So when they're all hashing their differences out, arguing basically, and I don't think anybody's resolving anything, the power ends up going out at the Ice Palace, and it shows Bombay, trying to mess with the fuse box, figure it out, get the lights back on, because they're supposed to have practice after that. They're going to have these important games coming up, and if they want to have any shot at getting anywhere, they're going to have to practice. So it shows Gordon trying to turn on the lights, nothing works, and he's like, I know what we can do. I've done this before with the Ducks of old. So he has a team come out to the old pond, and they're going to play on this icy, frozen over pond with there's goals already there on the pond. And that's where Gordon, like you mentioned, that's where Gordon learned to play. He learned to play on this frozen pond. That's how he learned to skate. He did everything out there. And basically you can cancel out everything else. You don't have to think about anybody in the stands. You can kind of clear your head when you're out there and just play hockey. So that's what they're going to do. That's what he kind of introduces them to do. So a funny Easter egg from the original films. I can't remember if it was the first or second one. But you remember when the Ducks were first practicing and he put the eggs down and he wanted them to have soft hands and to cradle the puck. So instead of the eggs, it was iPhones now, cradle it and take care of it. And Evan makes a funny joke about how, an iPhone, that's like 120 weeks of chores. So I thought that was pretty funny. He's like, man, that's like 120 weeks of chores. We don't want to hit that around.
Yeah, when Gordon brought that up, I was thinking like he's going to do their phones because it's like the modern age, and kids, they're looking at the phones all day long. So
all the time.
I thought that was funny. Like soft hands, they learned how to, cradle the puck and become a really good team together, like passing. So I thought that was pretty funny, and I predicted that. Yeah. I'm like, it's going to be a phone, and then he's like, we're going to use your iPhones.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, they have this cool practice out on the ice. Sophie, this whole time, kind of when they're practicing, everybody kind of, is more forgiving of Evan. He is the captain and everything. They're still not 100%, but at least they're out there on the ice with them. But Sophie in particular is still upset with Evan. She feels like they've been close up to this far. She's confided in him, and she kind of upset her because he didn't tell her about going to practice with the Ducks. She thought that if he was going to do this, he could at least mention it to her. She thought he owed her that at least. So she's still mad. And also when they're out on the ice, Coach Bombay, in a funny little scene, gets Coob there. Coob has good hands, but he doesn't really move his feet a lot. So that's his problem a lot of the time. So in this funny little trope, he gets to move it. Coach Bombay acts like the ice is cracking under Coob's feet, and it gets Coob to kind of get the hell out of there. So he's really super fast. So going forward, he's kind of like, hey, Coob, you do have fast feet. Just think of this. And it shows, Coob getting better when they're shooting goals at him. He's blocking everything. His feet are super fast now. So that's kind of funny. And that reminded me of the stuff with Goldberg in the original film. So
that was a really funny scene. Like he sprinted off the ice. He's like, by the way, it's not cracking, but we could tell you have fast feet. And then from that moment on, he started moving and stopping the pucks and becoming a real goalie. He had good hands. He just couldn't move his feet.
So we see all these kind of little. It's kind of like a Karate Kid kind of thing where Mr. Miyagi's teaching all the tricks to Daniel-san. The wax off. It kind of comes together. A lot of this in this episode of what they learned on the ice here, they're going to apply to this game that they're going to have later in this episode. But we see Alex at work. She's talking with her boss. I can't remember the boss's name. I want to say Stephanie, but she basically, Alex has been kind of being too much of a mother to the team. She hasn't been able to be an effective coach as she could because she's worrying about these kids all the time. And Coach Bombay and her have a nice little talk, and they sort of hash out that she needs to, kind of let the kids play. She needs to stop worrying. She needs to be kind of head into the fear. She knows she's going to be worried about them, but she knows that in order to move forward in life, you kind of got to move forward and move past your fears. So you got to face them. So she's going to kind of move forward, and she's going to look at the team with this kind of perspective of not, holding back. She wants them to go out there and do what they can do. And she's going to let them do, whatever. She's not going to be so worried and try to limit what they can do. So that kind of leads her to kind of start thinking more about becoming the head coach. She wants to be the number one. She knows that she can do it. She kind of realizes it, and in this episode, so that was cool to see.
She has the instincts as a coach. She really has the capabilities to do that. She brought Gordon back out of the slump he was in, not caring about life, just sleeping in his office. But she brought him back into the game, the game that he loves. That he always says that now. I love hockey. So Alex brought him back to the game, and she really is a good coach. So she needs to focus on the don't bothers and, continue to make them play well, and they'll end up in the championship. So she's able to do it. She just needed to be pushed in the right direction.
She needed that little push. That's right. And she has the natural coaching instincts like Bombay. Like Bombay knows he can see that in her, that she has these natural instincts. One of the things she does when they're on the pond, she has them do is put on the blindfolds, which goes terribly at the practice. But after they're doing it for a while and they fail on the ice, it's a mess. It's a disaster. But later on, that same thing that she taught them on the ice, it's the lesson that's taught by that, not necessarily being blind, but kind of listening and like kind of hearing your surroundings and being attuned to everything, not just seeing, but kind of having all your senses there on the ice. So it comes into play later on with the episode. Sam, is the extreme player on the team. He's kind of the skater. We've seen him do all these crazy tricks. He's kind of got that wild card on the team, so to say. He's thinking of quitting the team too. He feels really betrayed by Evan because he feels like Evan was able to, for the first time in Sam's life, he felt like he was needed somewhere. He probably didn't have a great home life. He never felt like he was needed or wanted by anyone. And when Evan told him that, we can really need you to play with us, we could really use your talents on our team. So he feels really let down when Evan went over and practiced with the Ducks again. He feels kind of betrayed too. But Evan and him have this nice conversation where Evan apologizes and Evan says, we can't do this without you. You're the X factor on the team. We need you to be a part of this. I'm sorry for what happened. It won't happen again. And let's move forward and kick some ass, basically. So after that scene, it's time for game time. I didn't catch the team that the Don't Bothers were playing in this episode. I didn't see the team name.
I don't think it really mattered, but it was really focused on them getting their team back together, bringing Evan back in, learning how to play on the pond, using some lessons they learned from Coach Gordon and Alex, pointing them in the right direction, them winning, them playing well as a team, passing, even the goalie was good. Like all around, they just played as a team for the first time the whole season. So moving forward, you can see they're going to get better and better. You
see the team coming together fully at the end, and you kind of can start seeing where they're going to start seeing some success here if they're going to play and stick together like this. They have a strong bond now. They've been through a couple crazy things now to bring them all together. They realize the chance they get, they realize that each of them have these little talents, and when they work together, they're a strong team. So before the game starts, Evan and Sophie have their little talk where they make up, and that's when things are really 100% strengthened between the team here, when Evan and Sophie get bury the hatchet there. Evan brings her this compression stocking for her knee that she had injured from Target, and tells her how special she is. So you can see that I think they're gonna end up in a relationship there. Obviously, that's where it's going. With the two of them, they have this strong relationship, and it's going to lead this team forward. We're seeing a great game. We're seeing the Don't Bothers right in the game. They're skating well. They're looking good. They're passing good. And we see Bombay and Alex there, and Bombay tells her, how strong she is as the coach, which was an awesome scene. And the rest kind of like, all right, who's coaching? You got to come down here. And Alex is like, that's me. So she's taken over. She's number one. Bombay, we were kind of right in our guess where he was going to be more of a mentor in this. She's going to be number one now. And we know that she has these natural coaching instincts. And I bet she's going to learn more. Obviously, as this season goes on, they're going to start winning these games. And thanks to her blindfolding on the ice there in the final, for the final score here, that put the Don't Bothers ahead, and they win the game. They basically don't put blindfolds on, but they close their eyes when they're playing. So when the pucks drop, they just use the sound of the puck and the feel. So we get a couple, which is totally unbelievable, but it didn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense. They all have their eyes closed, and somehow they get the thing from the puck drop. They get it and they pass it back, and somehow the girl makes the slap shot into the goal, blind, like without looking, like completely eyes closed. It's all about that Coach Bombay magic, I guess. And this time it was a little Coach Alex magic. So
Yeah, that whole scene was corny. It didn't make any sense.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know. That is silly.
but I get what they're trying to do, but it just didn't make sense to me. But whatever.
Yeah.
You know, them playing as a team and learning lessons as 12-year-olds is impressive. So can't hate them, you know, for that. But moving forward, I'm looking forward to see where they go with this and how this all ends, and maybe they bring back some familiar faces.
Let's see more of the original Ducks for sure. Let's see him, show him some more tips out on the ice and whatnot. That'll be cool to see. I want to see more of Coach Bombay. He's going to be out there telling him what he knows. He's going to be teaching Alex at the same time, seeing how, if their relationship's going to grow, if they're going to end up getting together or whatever. Yeah, just seeing Bombay with the kids again is awesome. A new team. He's been really awesome when he's coming around. Not so you know, filled with rage still about hockey, but he's starting to come around and love it again. So it's cool to see. It feels more like the Coach Bombay that we saw in the original films. It's coming around, which is cool.
Especially this episode, he reminded me much of the first movie, like the way he gets into it, the way he's coaching them with the soft hands and the cell phones out in the pond. Like you can see the old Gordon Bombay, which I really love. You can see he's really getting back into that, you know, spirit again of loving the game and coaching.
Old Coach Bombay is slowly coming around, and the Don't Bothers are coming around. They're starting to play good. Episode by episode, I've been impressed with the series so far. I haven't really had an episode where I thought it was terrible. They've all been good, really, in these past 2 episodes especially. This one I had another great time with. I enjoyed all the scenes. I liked how they resolved everything. I like how they took what Evan did and practicing with the Ducks, coming back and with all the teammates feeling betrayed, and then kind of going through his apology and realizing what he did, and him working with the team and them all coming together by the end. Alex coming in and like solidifying herself as the head coach. You got Bombay coming around as the supporting guy. It just feels like the original Ducks movies now, which is awesome and what we're all looking forward to. So feels like I know something about each of these kids, which is cool. Like at the beginning, it was kind of like, okay, here's another batch of kids we're going to have to get to know. But at this point, I think they're doing a great job of giving each of the kids their own kind of signature stuff. You know, of course, some of the kids are focused on more than others, but I feel like as a whole, they do a good job of covering, you know, giving all these kids something to do and making them, you know, worthy of cheering for and everything. So yeah, overall, I love this episode 7, pond hockey. We get to go back to the pond, and I loved it overall. Last episode 6 was the best of the season. This one I would say is the second best of the season. I'm going to give this episode a 4 out of 5 Coach Alex hair pieces.
I had a great time with this one as well. I thought the characters were great, returning to familiar places, being the pond, Alex, Gordon, having great on-screen dialogue and chemistry and coaching together and pointing the kids in the right direction. Everything worked for me except the ending. I thought that was silly and didn't make sense. But I'm really looking forward to the way they end the first season. I'm really enjoying the show, loving the characters, loving the story. So I'm going to give pond hockey a 3.5 out of 5 Gordon Bombay hair pieces.
So are you guys loving the Mighty Ducks Game Changer series as much as me and Uncle Logan here are? Are you enjoying watching the Quack Attack come back in episode 6? Are you liking a cranky Coach Bombay? Or are you liking him better when he's coming around and acting like the normal Bombay that we know and love? Are you liking to get lit with these kids? Well, don't bother coming here, boys, because we're going to be back to review the rest of this Mighty Ducks Game Changer series. We'll be back to review, obviously, the last 3 episodes of the season. We have 3 more to go. So we're going to see the Don't Bothers, narrow it down and maybe get to the Ducks by the end and see that classic matchup and see what happens. So until then, I'm Henry Hill, and this has been my good mate over there, Logan Myerz. It's good talking to you, my mate.
Good talking to you as always, Coach Henry Hill.
Until next time, we're signing out from the pond.
Quack, quack, quack. Cheese.
Cheese.